Pronghorn, Jude, and the Brooklyn Bank for coming through clutch with our beautiful venue today. Duke and Dame, 333 Lounge, and of course, in the back here making it live happen for us today, Just Our Opinion Podcast. Fantastic. Our moderator for this evening's discussion started his whiskey journey with drams of Jameson Irish whiskey in college. He has been exploring the wider world of spirits in general, the whiskey in particular, ever since. He is currently the deputy director of the popular Whiskey Reviewer website and the curator of the Manhattan Whiskey Club. He's a celebrated author, has written 3 Treasured Cocktails books and infused cocktail handbook, Drink the Ultimate Cocktail Book, and Measures, Shake, Pour, the elements of cocktail making. He's passionate for spirits, and love of travel has taken him around the globe, meeting new people and educating others on the joys of whiskey. Please give a big round of applause. Bring him up like a rock star, Kirk Maitland!
This mic. Sorry. Let me sit down. Voice ain't what it used to be, coming off a cold, but I'm happy to be here and happy to see you all here. And I'm looking forward to getting this thing started and to doing this event. So without further ado, I'd like to get Shirley White to come up. And we're going to discuss banking the brand with OTC. He'll set you up with a mic.
Thank you. That's good. Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to get you up here. And can you tell us a little bit about how you started the brand?
Certainly. So I'm from the UK, those of you that understand my accent. So I'm based in London. My background is not in the drinks or fast-moving commercial goods at all. My background is in banking and finance. So when I left the industry in 2011, I did a number of different things. But then I decided at my father's 80th birthday, there's a number of people that turned up to the event, and they'd made these drinks that I'm familiar with, ginger beer and sorrel, but they came in these 5-litre plastic watering things, but they tasted great, and that's what I was familiar with. So I thought there's certainly a gap in the market for Caribbean drinks based on traditional Caribbean flavours, but with a premium taste and quality ingredients. So I went down the route of actually researching what that actually means for us and whether it's worth doing, and I felt that there was a gap there. So that's why I came up with this. So this is the sorrel drink, the still sorrel drink, and I decided to think about how I was going to present the actual packaging as well, because I found that there was a lot of people that weren't actually drinking as much as they used to. And if you go out of a night time and you're dressed up, you've got a can of Coke in your hand. Well, nothing wrong with Coke, by the way, but you've got a can of Coke. It's not really the same. It's, if you've got something nice in your hand, people are going to say to you, "Oh, what's that?" And check it out. So I decided, instead of just going for a standard little sticky something on the bottle with a banana and a pineapple, I thought I'd go for something a bit more premium. And that in itself means that the drink has the opportunity to sit in stores like in the UK, like Harrods, Fortnum and Masons, Selfridges or whatever. So it takes it to a different level for non-alcoholic brands, and that's what I wanted to achieve. So I'll let you go.
No, go ahead.
So we launched in 2019, in August 2019, and that was just at the last carnival before lockdown, which was interesting, and it was a fantastic carnival. It was the hottest carnival that we'd had. Weather-wise in London, it was like being in the Caribbean, but in London. And we had a really great time, and that same year we got shortlisted by Food Matters was one of the best new drinks 2019, so we came third in that category, which was great. And then we had lockdown. So I think everybody here that's in business knows that you had to readjust your way of thinking around how you approach your client, what you do, what you want from them, and how you're actually going to get your brand out there, because our brand was unknown, basically. So it's been an interesting journey, readjusting to online posting, doing events. When it started opening up again, things started opening again, doing events and getting to know people and getting the brand out there. So since we've launched, we've won a number of different awards, and that's from industry experts as well. So in the UK, we have the Great British Food Award judges, and those guys, they go on TV and they talk about different products and drinks. So we've been shortlisted as one of the best drinks in their categories. They have a watermark of 15, and we got 13.
Very nice.
Thank you.
You know, since you started out and you ended up, like, right before you or right after you started, you ended up getting hit with, you know, the joys of COVID.
Yes.
How much has your business changed from what you thought it was going to be to what it is now?
To be honest with you, I don't think it's changed that much, because when you launch in a new brand, I think whether COVID is there or not, you've still got to get your brand name out there, and it's how you actually do it, right? I mean, it's similar if you're launching a record and you're unknown. You've got to basically do your marketing, you've got to go out there and, you know, do the grind to get your name out there. So I didn't see COVID as a hindrance, I saw it as a benefit, and to be honest with you, I actually loved lockdown. No, I'll tell you why. Because when the shops started opening up and stuff like that, the roads were empty. You could get where you're going. There's nobody there. It was great, you know, and nobody on the roads. And, you know, the petrol was, well, diesel was cheap.
Right.
But yeah, it was good for me, because you basically. People are online, and you could basically speak to them, and you got more interaction with them, etc., around your brand and what you wanted to achieve and stuff. So I just saw it as an opportunity. I don't see anything negative that happens as, well, considered negative. I see, look at what's the opportunity that I can get out of it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, that was something that not every brand was able to take advantage of, but certainly the fact that a lot of major players kind of decided to sit still. They weren't doing anything. They, you know, because as you guys know, normally you'll have like brand interaction at bars, at liquor stores, at
Absolutely.
restaurants, or especially something like a Whole Foods or a supermarket. When all that stuff went away, you know, there was a gap in the market. There were people who were sitting home, who were bored, who wanted something new to drink. They were bored drinking the same stuff.
That's right.
If you gave them a reason to try whatever you had, they had time in their hands, and then nothing else to do. So, hey, let me try this.
Absolutely.
And I found that was the case with whether it was non-alcoholic beverages, whether it was different types of, you know, whether it was whiskey or vodka. It was certainly an opportunity because people were, again, home. You had a captive audience, basically.
Right, 100%, you do. And I think you've got to take the opportunity as to how you utilise that captive audience. And use it positively.
Right.
And just try to get people to understand that there's the opportunity to drink something different and do different mixes.
So now, have you been doing anything, because obviously, you know, to my knowledge, your releases are non-alcoholic.
100%.
Have you been pairing up with any bars to do anything with, because you can use it as a mixer? Because that was always the case. My family's West Indian, and certainly Sorrel and the rest, Maubie, they were always mixing it with something.
Yeah.
You know, I got Maubie and Sorrel. Yeah, my dad might have gotten something else.
Okay.
So, did you do a lot of that in England?
I haven't actually. Well, what I have done is I've worked with a bunch of guys that do bartenders, and they've mixed up some recipes for us. So we do have recipes based on our drinks that you can mix with alcohol and all that sort of thing. So like the sorrel and rum and brandy, and you can, with the lime, even though it's a citrus flavour, you can mix it with certain drinks. So we do have recipe cards for our product. So it's available,
Right.
but ultimately we do want to get into bars and stuff like that and do some, mixology and stuff with bartenders and whatever.
Okay. No,
That's the plan.
I might be able to help with that.
Okay.
And and the thing is, I found for a lot of brands also, one tip of the spear is on a local level, if you could work with a bar, you give a bar a case of your spirit and say, listen, I just want you to work on some cocktails for me. Figure out, what are the best cocktails you can make, 3 good cocktails that you can make from my spirit. Because people come into the bar and they drink something, and then they ask, well, hey, what was that? What was in that? What'd you
Absolutely.
use? What's the recipe? It's a good way to introduce them to stuff they haven't had before. In the guise of, hey, you're doing a highball. Maybe you're doing a sorrel highball. Maybe there's something else in it. And it's like they've had highballs before, but they haven't had that highball with those ingredients.
Yeah.
Once they start asking about the ingredients, they want to know, well, where can I get it? It's the bar. It works for the bar in that they get something new to experiment with, and it works for you. And you've worked with several bars. You can literally put together a book of different recipes, because if you work with 4 different bars, you're going to get 15 different recipes that you can put on your website. You can collaborate with
100%.
them. All that stuff, it works on both ends. So I want to
But the
say,
ginger beer goes really well with champagne. I was saying that to you. Any of you ladies out there that don't want to drink too much champagne, mix the ginger beer with the champagne. It tastes good.
no,
I tried it. I did it.
okay, no, I would
I
do
can
it.
vouch for it. I did it.
Champagne's an easy mixer. It goes pretty well with anything for the
Yeah?
most part.
Okay. Goes well with my ginger beer.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give it a try. I got some champagne in the house. So now, for right now, what do you think is the biggest challenge your business faces?
That is a very good question. What I noticed was the cost of shipping after COVID. It went through the roof. And we've had interest because just before lockdown we was actually in Nigeria, and we've actually opened up a company there. So we've got interest in working in Nigeria and Africa. But one of the things we need to look at carefully, I mean, the costs of shipping is coming down now, but we need to really look at what the benefit is of actually shipping abroad, particularly here to the US, because the US is a real different beast. I mean, even though we speak the same language, you go from coast to coast, it's totally different. And you have to be really conscious of that when you actually launch into a market like this, that you don't rush in where fools fear to tread, I should say. So we want to be focused and take the right steps to launch sensibly. I mean, even if you take just Brooklyn, the number of restaurants that are in Brooklyn, it makes sense. Do it small in Brooklyn, get it right, and then step forward from there. So I would say the shipping costs, all of the labeling requirements from the FDA that may come in, we need to look at that carefully. And because I mean, in the UK we can say certain things around what we put on the sleeve, but in the US it's slightly different, so we need to understand that. So it's just stepping through things sensibly so we get to the right end game of getting over here into other places as well. So it's the cost of shipping.
The advantage you have is that, at least for your initial release, you're not doing alcohol.
Yeah.
Because
that
if you're
makes
doing
sense.
alcohol, you'd have to deal with 50 different rules.
Yeah.
Or 51 because you have DC.
Yeah.
At least, it could be served as a drink.
Yeah.
You could get into, shipping costs, but it's a little bit less of a problem because you don't have all the different rules about like what you can serve and where you can sell it.
Yeah.
So now, how far do you think you are in that? I mean, do you think, let's say, you'll be available here on a regular basis by the end of the year? Do you think?
That's the plan.
Okay.
That's the plan. Once we've done all of the technical elements around the product, company and all of the other stuff around labeling, because I like to get all of that technical noise out of the way, getting the drink over here is not an issue.
Right. Because once the label's done, it's just bottling at that point.
Yeah, standard.
Right. So now, for you, what do you think would be the best change in law, if any, that would help you in, let's say, distributing your product, whether it's here or at home? Because, I mean, buying, if it was liquor, it's a lot easier to buy liquor in the UK. I go to London all the time than it is to buy it here. But you're not doing liquor. Yeah, because you go to like Whiskey Exchange, you can order anything, they'll ship it to your house. Whereas here, depends what you're ordering, depends what you're having sent, what state it's coming from. But are there any things you would think that would make it easier for you to, let's say, I mean, would it be the labeling requirement? Would it be something else?
I personally believe that the actual food and labelling process in the US is not going to be as onerous as it is in the UK.
Okay.
Because we have a mix of organic ingredients. We're not 100% organic, but we don't use any artificial sweeteners or anything like that in our drinks. We've got organic cane sugar, and we also use organic Madagascan vanilla extract, which is an additional sugar, but it comes with antioxidants and stuff like that.
Right.
So the flavour is really good. But I don't think it's going to be as onerous as I thought it was going to be from a food and FDA perspective over here. No, I don't see that much of an issue, but it's finding the right people to work with. That's why Lazar he reached out to us, because I think he can help us with the right people to work with and make the right contacts, so you don't make the mistakes that you can make if you don't get in touch with the right people from the outset.
Mm-hmm. So then, if we're having this conversation 5 years from now,
Yes.
where would you like your business to be?
I want the business to be, I want the brand to be something that's on the end of everybody's lips. I want us to be as big as Coca-Cola.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely
Everybody here would be cool with that.
Ultimately, because I just see it as an opportunity, particularly from a community perspective, you know, with our young men and being able to go out and get jobs and work. I mean, if you've got a box of OTC beverages in your car and you're selling it on the high street, you're not going to get stopped by the police. You might get stopped, but but you can flog that stuff, you know.
Right.
And I just think it's an opportunity to basically have a brand that's community owned and that can take us forward and you can do so many different things with a brand. I mean, we've already done product placement in a movie. We're doing another one this year. We've also been in the hampers for the Mobos and for the Netflix celebrities. So there's so many different things you can do, and we've done charity events. We sponsor a charity in the UK. So one of the most important things to me is having the opportunity to give back.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that to me is really, really satisfying.
Okay. All right. So now, with that, I guess I should open the floor to some questions. You know, since I've been asking questions, I guess you guys get a chance. So, anybody have any questions they'd like to ask?
Don't be shy.
I think I tasted the drinks earlier, so like, are they more like healthier? Because it was some things showing me, like, are they healthier drinks or are they different?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we always like to do when we present the brand at any event is actually show what ingredients are in the drink, because we use a water and glycerin extraction for the products, which makes a massive difference to the actual flavour. It costs a little bit more to create, but it makes a real difference to how the product tastes in the bottle. Because we could have gone for an ethanol extraction, but that's the alcohol extraction. We didn't do that. So yes, we are on more of a fitness and healthy tip with the drinks, but as you've mentioned, you can mix it with whatever tipple suits your fancy. Champagne.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's certainly more focused on a healthier alternative to what's out in the market.
Okay. Another question?
Everybody shy.
Yeah, they haven't had enough to drink.
Yeah, exactly.
It's early. It's early is what it is. All right. Well, no, with that, I guess another question I might have is, for you, you know, thinking like how you're going to roll out here and how you're going to talk to Lazar, are you thinking you want to do big cities, stick to like a coast, East Coast, West Coast, and kind of move in? Do you have a plan as far as how you'd
I'm
like to
starting
roll
right
out?
here in New York.
Which makes sense.
I don't know any other state, to be honest. I mean, I've been coming here since the age of 16. So this is like second home to me, right? So I'm familiar with the Bronx, Brooklyn. I've got family here. So it makes sense to start where you're familiar and then, to me, work out, from there, to be honest. So I'm familiar with New York.
Okay.
So I'll start there.
Works for me. I live here. Happy to have it. So, all right. So if there are any other questions? Oh, there's one. There's two here. You first, and then you. Yep.
What would you, understanding there are differences, right, cultural perspective, execution perspective, what are some of the differences that you've seen in the way that the products are launched in Europe, UK, versus how they are here in the US? Greater bandwidth, restrictions, opportunities?
I wouldn't say that there's any restrictions, to be honest, and culturally, we've done events that have been focused on like the Caribbean community, and we've done events at Excel, we've been to Cambridge and all those different places. So I think what's most important for many people that pick up the drink or when they see it is the taste. What does it taste like? And we're not, I mean, what's big in the UK at the moment is like water with CBD and all that stuff, It's just water, right? So you want to try something different. I think people want something, an alternative, and when they taste a drink, and when you actually tell the story behind it, it becomes more interesting. So culturally, this sits right across all cultures. It's not just for the Caribbean, but it's based on traditional Caribbean flavors.
Yeah.
Could you share a little bit about how you funded the launch of your first product and then how that's changed over time and how now you're financing programs?
Completely self-funded. And the reason behind that is it gives you autonomy around your brand because you're not being held to ransom as to, I've got 5% of your company, I want you to do this, and you can't do that. And I think when you're launching a brand, it's your baby, right? And it can be interesting sometimes because when people actually say things about the product, you think, you're talking about my baby. It's like your clothing. How can you say that about how I'm dressed? But you can't take that on board. You have to. I like the fact that we're completely bootstrapped. And I think one of the things you need to realize when you launch your brand is that it's okay to say no, right? It's okay to say, I'm not going to do this, because you feel that you need to do everything, and you can't do everything. It's impossible. So you need to really focus on what is going to make a difference for you. And you also need to realize that you may make £1 million in your first year. You could strike it lucky and hit the lottery. But you have to understand that it takes effort, and you have to be extremely disciplined. Yeah, you're welcome. A lot of people come to you with advertising and saying I can do this and all that sort of thing. You have to do some events. You've got no choice but to do certain events, particularly when you're new, because it's part of your CV. Because then you can turn around and can say, okay, in the UK I've done the Docklands, I've done this event, I've done that event. So it looks good on your portfolio that you've experienced those sort of things. But once you've done them, you then need to sit back and say, am I really going to get an ROI on this, a return on investment, and what does that actually mean? Because sometimes doing local community events, you can make a lot of money, as opposed to doing an event where you're at some big event in the Docklands, Excel, and it sounds good, and you get all the buyers come around, but sometimes you've got to sort of like do it and take a step back. Do I want to do it another year, and what's going to be the benefit to me?
Okay. Any more questions? We have time for at least one more, I think.
I don't think there's anybody else. Too shy.
I saw a hand move on the corner of my eye, and I was looking over.
Good.
How long did it take from inception to ship? How long did it take you to get going?
The idea came in my head in September 2017. I did some research around the product. It didn't take me that long, to be honest, if I actually think about it. I think it was about between 8 to 10 months. Because what I did was I stepped away and just thought, what does this actually mean? And I thought about who I wanted to get involved with regards to design and all that sort of stuff. So I think you've got to take a step back and not rush in, because people say, oh, it's going to sell. Your mates will say to you, oh, it's going to sell. You're going to do this. Okay. Don't listen. Let it fall on deaf ears. Sorry.
We're good? Okay. All right. So with that, I think we're ready to go. I mean, I guess I have, 2 more to do. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And I'm happy to, like I said, I'm happy to help with the cocktail situation as best I can.
Thank you very much indeed. So we're over at the back there if you want to have a taste of our product. We're here today and tomorrow, so come along and have a taste, and we'll answer any questions that you have.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Ms. Bailey. Mrs. Bailey. We're taking a break. We're going.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win.